8 years later, and Crystal is still missing, but now a major development in the case.
Investigators say updated technology allowed them to test hair samples that were originally degraded in a degraded condition on the victims.
Did you know that some seriously mind-blowing cold cases were finally solved in 2023? I'm talking about serious crimes that have stumped investigators for years. Well, thanks to the use of DNA analysis, cold cases are now solved faster than ever before. In the past, cold murders could go unresolved for decades due to a lack of evidence. However, breakthroughs in DNA technology now allow investigators to solve cold cases and overturn wrongful convictions. Here are our picks for the top 10 most puzzling crimes that were finally solved in 2023. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can be notified whenever we post something new. If you enjoy seeing movie reactions, then check out our other channel, Yaboy Rockley Movies. Number 10. The Murder of Pauline Brazeau. For nearly 50 years, no one knew who killed Canadian single mother Pauline Brazeau. Brazeau was last seen at a restaurant in Calgary on January 8, 1976, and was discovered dead hours later on a country road. Her murder perplexed investigators at the time, and even after it was reinvestigated in the 1990s, officials were unable to produce any concrete leads. In 2021, the case was reopened. This time, police used genetic genealogy and were able to link evidence from the crime to Ronald James Edwards. Edwards, who had already served prison time for sexual assault and attempted murder against another lady, was caught in November 2023. The same month, he turned 74 and charged with non-capital murder. Number 9. The Murder of Jeremy Stoner. This heinous murder not only took a boy's life, but it also destroyed the life of an innocent man. Jeremy Stoner vanished in February 1987 from his grandparents' home in Vallejo, California. His body was discovered around 30 miles away after 4 excruciating days, having been subjected to sexual assault prior to his murder. Sean Melton, the first suspect, was charged with kidnapping and murder. Forward to September 2023, when advances in DNA technology led authorities to 69-year-old Fred Kane III, who was captured in Oregon and brought to California on murder charges. Unfortunately, Sean Melton died in 2000 before his name could be cleared officially. Number 8. The Murder of Todd Lampley. The Wire on HBO is known for its realistic representation of crime, and it would play a role in the murder of Todd Lampley in his Cape Cod, Massachusetts, home in February 2011. Investigators uncovered a black cell phone and a sweet potato with DNA connected to the perpetrator at the crime scene. The phone was registered to Marlo Stanfield, the name of a The Wire character. Authorities also discovered a potato being used as a silencer in the act. The DNA on the potato led them to Devaris Hampton, who had previously named Lampley in a murder case. Hampton was wearing a GPS monitor in 2011, which investigators used to pinpoint him at Lampley's home during the murder. In February 2023, he was arrested. Number 7. The Murder of Barbara Villarreal. When Barbara Villarreal was murdered in her Garland, Texas, home in November 1986, investigators suspected her husband. Intruders attacked Villarreal in their home, according to his story. DNA evidence appeared to support this claim, as investigators discovered blood at the crime scene that did not belong to Villarreal or her husband. The case finally went cold, and Villarreal's husband died. However, when DNA technology evolved over time, authorities made a huge breakthrough. They were able to connect evidence from the crime scene to Villarreal's brother-in-law, Liborio Canales. Canales, 85, was arrested in July 2023 and confessed to the crime, admitting to killing his brother's wife over a family quarrel. Number 6. The Disappearance of Steve Carter. What would you do if you discovered your photograph on a missing persons website? For Steve Carter, that wasn't simply a hypothesis, but a reality. Carter, who was adopted as a toddler, began searching for his ancestry in 2010. This led him to a website for missing children, where to his surprise, he discovered an age progression image of himself. Carter called the police and underwent a DNA test, which revealed that he was Marks Panama Moriarty Barnes, who had been missing since 1977. Barnes was abducted by his birth mother and ended up in an orphanage in Hawaii. The case might have remained unresolved if it hadn't been for Carter's own curiosity, which reunited him with his biological family after more than 3 decades. Number 5. The mysterious remains of David Guy. In July 2012, the bones of David Guy, a Hampshire, England resident, were discovered on a beach. Guy had been murdered, wrapped in a curtain, and dumped there, presumably by his assailant. Despite a lack of evidence at first, detectives had a breakthrough when they uncovered 8 cat hairs on the curtain. This proved to be their hot lead, as David Hilder, one of Guy's neighbors who kept a cat, became a key suspect. Mitochondrial DNA research revealed a match between the hairs from Hilder's cat and those found at the crime scene. Hilder was later found guilty of homicide and sentenced to life in jail, marking the first time cat DNA was used in a British criminal trial. Number 4. The Gilgo Beach Serial Killings. Shannon Gilbert, 24, went missing in May 2010 after making a worrisome 911 call. While searching for her, authorities discovered the remains of 4 other women, now known as the Gilgo 4. More remains, including Gilbert's, will be uncovered during the next year. Despite the fact that a profile of the killer was published in the media, no arrests were made in this case until July 2023. Rex Heuermann, a New York architect, became a suspect after DNA testing linked him to evidence found on one of the victims' bodies. A witness recognized his car, and cell phone records revealed that he attempted to speak with some of the victims. Heuermann was charged with the murders of 3 of the Gilgo 4 and is still a prime suspect in the death of the 4th. Number 3. The murder of Jennifer Odom. Jennifer Odom's disappearance on February 19, 1993, prompted a major search throughout the state of Florida. Sadly, her bones were discovered 6 days later in an abandoned field. Despite decades of inquiries and hundreds of leads, no encouraging advances surfaced until 2015. A man named Jeffrey Norman Crum was linked to a similar crime that occurred in the same location approximately 1 year and 1 month before Odom's disappearance, according to DNA analysis. Authorities spent the next 2 years developing their case around Crum as a suspect, and in July 2023, he was charged with Odom's murder, sexual assault, and kidnapping. Crum was already serving 2 life terms for another case when these additional accusations were brought against him. Number 2. The murder of Rita Curran. Rita Curran, a 24-year-old schoolteacher, was murdered in her Burlington, Vermont apartment shortly after leaving the nest in 1971. Key evidence from the crime scene, including a cigarette butt and a piece of Curran's clothes, was carefully collected and kept by investigators. Decades later, in 2014, DNA gotten from the cigarette butt was used to create a profile, but it did not match anyone in the federal database. The case was later revived, and in February 2023, detectives claimed that they had used genetic genealogy to eventually link the profile to William DeRoos. DeRoos shared an apartment building with Curran, but gave investigators a false alibi. Unfortunately, justice could not be served because DeRoos died in 1986. Number 1. The Mysterious Lady of the Dunes. On July 26, 1974, the body of a strange woman was discovered on a beach in Provincetown, Massachusetts. For nearly 5 decades, both her name and that of her murderer were unknown. The story became popular over time, as many explanations developed, including one saying she was a background actress in Steven Spielberg's 1975 blockbuster movie Jaws. After numerous futile attempts, investigators were ultimately able to identify her as Ruth Marie Terry in October 2022 using forensic genealogy. Terry had vanished in the summer of 1974 after a trip with her newlywed husband, Guy Moldavin. In August 2023, police officially ended the case, naming Moldavin, who died in 2002, as Terry's murderer. What cold case do you hope will be solved next? Let us know in the comments box below, and don't forget to check out Yay Boy Rock Lee. Please like the video, share, subscribe, and switch on notifications so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.